Welcome to the brand new episode of the Tech Catch Up Show on Nerd for Tech Originals. In today's episode, I have with me Mehul Smriti Raje, a software engineer at Google. In this episode, Mehul talks about internship procedures and process, how women are making significant contributions in that field of technology, and how technology is going to progress post COVID. Watch this episode till the end. This is your host Kushak Srivastav, and see you on the other side. Welcome to the podcast, ma'am, the Tech Catch Up Show, a Nerd for Tech Originals, and I just hope you have a great time with us and you enjoy this conversation today. I would quickly like to begin the conversation by taking you to a time back, like when you had your first encounters with technology and like what was it all about and at what time did you have it? Like it was in your college or back in your school days. So how was it all like?
Hi, first of all, I just want to say hi. My name is Mehul. I'm so excited to be on your podcast, Kushag. And so the first encounter that I had with technology was, I think my sister, who's 4 years older than I am, she had this course at school, which was basically like computer science for primary school students. And she learned Logo and Basic as part of that. And she came home and she would make all these programs with the turtle and show me what they look like. And I used to get very excited and then try doing them on my own. And it was just so logical and exciting that you could make something with a few set of instructions. Was very exciting to me. So that was my first encounter with technology and where I started feeling that maybe this is something that I could do.
Okay, cool. So, like, ma'am, I was going through your profile while preparing for the podcast on LinkedIn. So, I figured out that you have been an avid learner of technologies and stuff through by doing a lot of internships and projects and all. So, like, what do you feel like? What's the kind of right mindset when a person is approaching an internship, and what are the things that one should actually be looking forward to while working in an intern? Rather than the monetary benefits and all those stuffs. Also, is there something very specific that can actually help an individual to get most out of an internship, or and if anything that has worked out brilliantly for you and has helped you and has acted as a catalyst to your learning curve?
Yeah, I think so. There are two things. One thing is your technical skills, and the other thing are your soft skills. So, I personally, when I was doing my internships as part of my undergrad or as part of grad school, I just had like maybe a 5-year plan or a big picture in mind. So I knew that I really wanted to work for a company like Google a few years down the line. So that was the big picture that I had in my head. And the other thing that I was very keen on learning was AI. So this was like part of the big picture. So I actively looked for internships which offered me some kind of exposure and some kind of experience with both of these. Of course, like you are constrained by which companies come to your college, what roles they offer you. But even within them, at least like I always found that they would ask you, what do you want to work on? So I think at that point, it's important to know what your interests are. And the way to do that is sometimes, maybe just like watch some videos, maybe like do some courses at college, try and figure out where your interests are and what you want to learn more about, because learning is of course like a lifelong process, so you can't obviously do it in like 1 semester or 2 semester. So just try and explore different things to figure out what you are interested in, and then in your internship try and gravitate more towards those things. And the other thing is soft skills. So like things like leadership, ownership, how to work on a project, because obviously plans change over time. But these are skills which will remain with you, not just in your career, but also in your personal life. So have some long-term goals on a personal level as well, that maybe, this is the kind of communication that I want to get to. I want to be able to email professionals from all over the world and get a response. So how to do
Yeah.
that? So like both of these things work in parallel. So keeping like having some long term goals in mind are like always helpful.
Yeah. Like ma'am, I was one of the things that I also figured out while researching for this podcast was that you have been like quite into running out programs for women encouragement back in your college days, and as that initiate as a part of those initiatives, like you founded a community and started a YouTube channel as well. So like, what was that idea all about, and like what was the motivation behind it and the causes for doing such a kind of initiative?
Yeah. So what happened was that I came from a girls' school.
Okay.
So initially, I found it very hard to connect with boys, and that was like. But I liked going for coding contests and things
Yeah.
like that. So I just wanted to go to these contests with other girls because my first friends were other girls that lived in my hostel.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they were not very willing to come for these events. So I just got curious as to why, these people are not coming to all these events, and just like trying to find out more, understanding why this was happening. And of course, the ratio, like in a lot of engineering colleges, even
Exactly.
now in India, it's like
Exactly.
it's very skewed.
Yeah.
So, of course, there was that bottleneck, but which is why I think it's also very important for, let's say there are in my class, there were 10 women and the total strength of the class was 60. So when
Okay.
you are fewer in numbers, sometimes you have to work extra hard to show that, you belong here.
Yeah.
So I think the quest to understand that is where the curiosity started. And that's why I set up, the Women Tech Makers to, bring all the women together so
Yeah.
that just as an interest group that, these are the women who are
Exactly.
interested. So if you're going for some coding contest or some hackathon, at least you know somebody who's also
Yeah.
interested in. So, yeah.
Great. So like ma'am, how did Google happen, and like how exciting and overwhelming it is at times to work at one of the prestigious organizations like Google and working along with some of the brilliant minds of the planet. So how is it, and how did Google happen?
Mm-hmm. So I was in grad school, and Google came to my campus interviews. So of course, like a lot of people from my program were working, like from my seniors had been working at Google. So there was a
Okay.
strong Harvard presence also already at
Yeah.
Google. And so they came to my career fair. I gave them my resume. And then after a few weeks, initially you don't hear something very soon. Some companies will like, it's also like very tricky because
Okay.
here hiring works a bit differently than it does in India. You have
Okay.
to approach the companies and like give your resume, and they'll contact you if they like you and things like that, depending on how much you communicate with the recruiter and other
Okay.
factors. So yeah, when they contacted me back, it of course took a while. It didn't happen immediately. It happened after a few weeks. So there was a bit of waiting period. I was interviewing for other companies, and then they contacted me. They sent me an online test. I did that.
Okay.
Then there was the on-site interview. So I did that. And then, after all these rounds and like after a few weeks, again, like a
Yeah.
few weeks of waiting, they reached back. And of course, like it was a very exciting moment for me when they extended that offer. And like you said, it's very overwhelming because like I know that when I go to work, everyone in that room, like of course like now digitally, but when I
Yeah.
was physically going, like everybody in the room is like so much smarter. And there's like it's not a linear measure of smartness, but they all
Exactly.
know something that you don't.
Exactly.
And and similarly, like I know a few things which maybe they don't.
Yeah.
And it's just that kind of an environment encourages you to thrive and really
Exactly.
try and learn faster, because like there's so much to learn. And
Yeah.
of course, like there's a lot of perks, there's a lot of food
Yeah.
and the massage chairs and like the slides and all that. It's all
Yeah.
very fascinating, but
Yeah.
after a while you get used to it, and what
Yeah.
remains is the fact that the people around you are just like they're so
Exactly.
smart. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Great. Could you, ma'am, if your terms and policies with Google allows you, could you discuss some of your projects or roles that you are currently working on, or like some of the technologies that are still to come into the market and Google is like working on it quite efficiently?
Yeah, I think, of course, like I can't dish out too many details,
Yeah.
but like, so I work in Google Photos as a backend
Okay.
dev. I get exposed to like my primary language of coding is Java.
Okay.
So I do a lot of that. But like they have their own frameworks and they have their own methodology of doing things. A lot of they are very like what I like about Google is that uh, they are very actively trying to help people,
Okay.
and like that is something that really resonates with me as well, because I always look at tech as a tool to do bigger things. And like I know that some
Wow.
people are just passionate about delving deeper into
Exactly.
technology, and but like my perspective has always been that how to leverage it as a tool to solve some of the other
Wow.
challenges. And like even women tech makers was in somewhat like in the same vein and things like that.
Yeah.
So that is something that they very actively try and do, try to do the right thing, try and help a lot of people, try to really take user feedback into account and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like they donated a lot of money for the Digital India initiative.
Yeah.
They are very actively trying to, now that there's a geo framework in India, they're trying to
Yeah.
leverage that to connect everyone. So these are
Exactly.
like some exciting avenues that they're working on.
Great. So like, ma'am, what are some of the things that you believe that after post-COVID, some of the technologies or domains or sectors that would be worked on or like explored at a faster and efficient rate that it had to be, because everything got accelerated a bit due to COVID scenario. So is there any particular technology or domain that you think is going to be worked upon a lot? And are there any projects or anything that you personally want to work on? Because firstly, they are like they worry you, or like they create some kind of an impact in your mind. And secondly, because you believe that there is a lot of development that can be done in that particular sector or domain.
Um, Yeah. So I think to answer the first part of your question, what are some technologies that I see happening? Like I see a much more active research into like modeling of human communication.
Okay.
Because like one thing that you see that happened in COVID is like a lot of places started quarantining very early, but there was still a spread. So like patterns of how people interact, how they meet, a lot of science will go into how, I think, how houses are made, especially like in India, there's
Okay.
like so many different kinds of housing that is happening. And how can you leverage tech to make sure that, or just science and technology to make sure that uh, in a situation like this, uh, what you are circulating between different units of housing and things like that, how can that be modeled and maybe done so that in case of a future pandemic, perhaps like a similar situation of spreading will not occur.
Okay.
So these are some things which I definitely see. With respect to my own field, which is AI, I think there is still so much research to be done
Yeah.
about how the psychology of human interaction, and how can you maybe model that and understand that. And like AI is so like it's on a large scale, it's a little bit depersonalized right now, but also like something that is happening is that technology is also like tending to isolate you a little bit.
Yeah.
Like we all tend to live in our bubbles and consider that as interaction. So maybe adding that human feel to digital interaction is like also something which I think would be an exciting area of research. And something that I'm personally very interested in doing is like the last point that I mentioned is like how to add that personal touch. Like so a lot of people are okay living by themselves, but I live alone, and I
Yeah.
feel like like interaction, digital interaction is not enough. So how
Exactly.
can you maybe through holograms, or maybe like some VR experiences that you can use at home, or something like maybe like some haptic technology that feels that you're holding your mom's hand or something like that.
Exactly.
Something like that would be very interesting, and I would love to work on that. So yeah.
Great. Great. So like, ma'am, you have worked in India and now you're working in the US. So could you just bring out a comparison, be it on the brighter side or darker side? It's open for discussion. Like, what are some of the things that you feel are some kind of a differences in terms of the mindset of the people, the work culture, the environment that one works within India and in the US? So if you
Yeah.
can explain that.
Yeah. So I think a very big difference between where I worked in India and in the US is that in India, I worked on in small to mid-sized organizations
Okay.
always. In the US, I've only worked for like mid to large range
Yeah,
organizations, which have like teams spread over a lot of
exactly.
places. So something that I noticed very early on in my career was that a lot of the center of a lot of R&D is in the US. So a lot of decision making happens in the US. So in India, even if I was working on the R&D division of the company that I was working for, there was still a lot of decisions being made in the West. So it
Okay.
wasn't exactly the epicenter of where a lot of decisions were coming from. But of course, like there's a lot of companies which still have that opportunity there, and if they have been inbred in India, then you get those decision making opportunities, and you have that ladder that you can rise up on. uh,
Yeah,
um, Again, like working hours were very different. Working style is a little bit, like in my experience, was a little bit informal. So it was more of you talk it out, and a lot that much documentation is not required because everybody you're working on is like in the same place and things like
okay.
that. Here, like I worked on very big teams, so like documentation and like effective communication was very important. Also, like
Yeah,
everybody comes from such different countries and cultures, that communication, like you have to have strong communication skills because
okay.
it's just a requisite, you can't do without
Exactly.
it. And then like working style is again like ours are different. People prioritize physical health here quite a bit,
Yeah,
and mental health as well. So that is a very positive difference which I feel here, that you
great.
can take time off just for the sake of trying to be fit, and you can
Exactly.
add it to your schedule. So that's something I've learned since I've come here.
Exactly. Great. So, ma'am, it was great talking to you. Just a last question. Could you suggest some of resources, whether be it like a podcast or book or some blogs that you usually read or have read in the past, that has helped you to ace your professional career as well as become some kind of a better person as well overall?
Mhm.
Anything that you would like to suggest?
Yeah, so I definitely like at one point I was blogging when I was in college also. So I used to
Okay,
read a
great.
lot of blogs at that time. But I've always relied on edX. edX came out when I was in first year of college.
Yeah.
So I took some, at that time I'd taken some like introductory CS courses on
Okay,
edX. So sometimes even now when I have the time, I also like still keep checking that stuff. Also,
great.
I think it's important to have some hobbies also, like try reading beyond what you're working on, so that,
Exactly.
sometimes it's important to have knowledge beyond just your work, so that,
Exactly.
like I mentioned, you have to connect with recruiters, you have to connect with your teammates, and not
Yeah.
all of them might be technical. So you might,
Yeah.
if you have an interest in sports or politics or something, then, then at least you have all this other knowledge also that you can connect with people on.
Great.
uh, so there's that. And like keep in loop on what TechCrunch is reporting on, what The Verge is reporting on. Like they give good reviews of devices and technologies and things like that. And of course, like if you're interested in physics and stuff, then Stephen Hawking books are very good.
Yeah.
uh, or like, just music. Like I listen to a lot of music, so
Great.
that's a bonding factor that I found with
Yeah.
a lot of people. So
Well,
yeah.
that was awesome, ma'am, having you on the show, and I hope you enjoyed yourself in this conversation. And
Yeah.
this to all our listeners, whoever, whatsoever platform you're using to listen this, please subscribe, follow, and like for more such technical conversations. And this is your host Kushak Shrivastava signing off.